Bonjour tout le monde. Nous allons faire les verbes ER. So today we're going to do ER verbs. This is great because a lot of verbs are ER verbs. The first one we're going to start with is parler. So how you figure out what an ER verb is by looking at the end of the verb. So underlined, I have the ER, and that's at the end of the verb. So I know that this is an ER verb because the last two letters are ER. And so parler means to speak. Je parle français. So we're going to learn how to conjugate verbs today. We have had practice with this, but just as a reminder, here are your subject pronouns. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. Those are your subject pronouns. And now if I'm going to conjugate the verb, I have to make sure the verb agrees with the subject pronoun. Je parle français. I wouldn't want to say je parle français. Us speak French. So it's important to have the correct verb with the correct stem with the correct subject pronoun. So je parle, tu parles. So your ending for the je form is e. Your ending for the tu form is es. Il, elle, parle ends with an E. So note this is the same as the first person. So the first and third person have the same ending. Nous parlons, vous parlez, il, elle, parlons. So just to put this in perspective a little bit easier, to conjugate an ER verb in the present tense, remove the ER from the infinitive and add the present tense endings according to the subject pronoun. So up here we have the infinitive. The infinitive is a verb before it is conjugated. Oops, what I need to do is change this too. So the infinitive before it is conjugated. And the next thing we need to do is try to find the stem. In order to find the stem, what we need to do is drop off the ER. And you're going to have to do this every single time you conjugate a verb. And eventually it won't have to be such a dramatic fashion. You'll just know to do it. But I really like to give this visual so you know, because a lot of times, sometimes students will add their endings to the end of the ER. That's not correct. It's like doing math. The first thing you do is drop the ER, and this is your stem. Here is my subject pronoun, je. So I have to think about what ending is going to agree with this verb. So it would be je parle. E is the correct ending for je. So, nous. What form would you put next for we speak? How would you conjugate that verb? How would you say we speak French? Nous parlons le français. Nous parlons le français. I speak German. Je parle l'allemand. Lucas and Nathan speak Japanese. So Lucas and Nathan would be the same subject pronouns as il, right? So know that this is the ending that you would use. This is interchangeable. Whether I say Lucas and Nathan or they, it's going to be conjugated the same way. Lucas and Nathan parlent le japonais. Lola and Camille speak Italian. So Lola and Camille are both girls. They could also be used with the subject pronouns elle. Elle parle l'italien. So je. Note that je is not capitalized unless it starts a sentence. When a verb begins with the vowel je, becomes J apostrophe. So the example would be j'aime, j'adore le français, j'aime mes enfants. Tu and vous. There are two ways to say you in French. Tu is used when speaking to a friend, fellow student, relative, child, or pet. Vous is used when speaking to a person you don't know well or when addressing an older person, someone in authority, or anyone with whom you wish to maintain a certain formality. The plural of both tu and vous is vous. The context will indicate whether vous refers to one person or to more than one. Il and elle. As you know, all nouns, people, and objects have gender in French. Il is the pronoun that refers to a masculine person or object, and elle refers to a feminine person or object. The plural counterparts, ils and elles, are used in the same way as the singular forms. Il corresponds to the masculine plural nouns and to a group that includes at least one masculine noun. Elle corresponds to feminine plural nouns. En, in English, the word people, we, one, or they are often used to convey the idea of an indefinite subject. In French, the indefinite pronoun en is used always with the third person singular of the verb. Ici, on parle français. Here, we speak French. So when you do conjugate it, or when you translate it, it does. It says we speak French, but they're using it in the third person singular. So this is a very, very special, make sure you put a star by this to know that this is a little bit different than all the other ways. So you guys have a whole list of verbs to conjuguer. So aimer is to love, adorer is to adore, chercher is to look for, écouter is to listen. And again here, the je form, it ends in an E. So note across the board here, everything ends in an E. So j'aime, j'adore, je cherche, j'écoute. Tu aimes, tu adores, tu cherches, tu écoutes. Il aime, il adore, il cherche, il écoute. Nous aimons, nous adorons, nous cherchons, nous écoutons. Vous aimez, vous adorez, vous cherchez, vous écoutez. So that's the vous that ends in the EZ all the way across. Ils, elles aiment, adorent, cherchent, et écoutent. I'm going to go on to the next page. So if you're not ready yet, go ahead and just push pause and fill in your blanks. On y va. Let's go. So there's a couple extra ones in here if you want to add them. Étudier is to study. I think that's already on there. So note with an E, this would be j'étudier, J apostrophe. Same with above with the words I said before. If it starts with a vowel, it's going to be J apostrophe. Skier is to ski. Regarde is to watch. Habite is to live. J'habite, I live. J'habite. J'habite à Paris. So if you have to add those ones onto the side, that's fine, but it's good. Regardez, regardez-vous, look. Regardez-moi, look at me. Regardez-toi, look at you. So this is great to learn how to conjugate ER verbs because there's lots and lots of ER verbs. And the great part is they always follow this pattern. So once you understand and recognize how to conjugate verbs, it's going to be the same for all ER verbs. So I think the only one I don't have is number 1 on my paper. So you guys can try to fill that on your own and see how you do. But I'm going to start with number 2, numéro 2. Papa écoute une nouvelle cassette. Dad listens to a new cassette. This must be the 80s because I don't think that anyone's dad is still listening to a cassette. Numéro 3, Jules prépare un bon dîner. Jules prepares a good dinner. So remember, you have to drop your ER. You don't want to be adding it onto the end of this. So the first thing you have to do is drop the ER and then add your endings accordingly. Jules would be the same as elle or il. So that's why it's in the third person. Okay, so this is numéro 3. Numéro 3. Ils arrivent à 7 heures. Je saluais nos invités. Nous apportons, remember you have that little liaison there. Nous apportons des fleurs et des bonbons. We bring the flowers and the candies. On cherchait une secrétaire. We are looking for a secretary. Elle habite à Paris maintenant. She lives in Paris right now. Je voudrais habiter à Paris maintenant. I would like to live in Paris right now. Tu fermes nos livres. You close our books. Tu fermes nos livres. So this is the to form. Your ending should be es. Fermer means to close. Fermez la porte. Close the door. Fermez le livre. Close the book. Tout le monde. Tout le monde means everyone. This literally translates to all the world, which means everyone. Everyone listens to the explanation of the professor. Tout le monde écoute l'explication du professeur. So in this one, even though you have a whole bunch of people, everyone listens, it's still going to be in the third person singular because it's the same as saying like my family. You wouldn't say my family are big. You say my family is big. Your family counts as one singular unit, even though you have a whole bunch of people in that unit. Numéro 10, le professeur entre dans la salle de classe. Le professeur entre dans la salle de classe. You drop the ER and you add an E, but once you get better at it, you just know that you could drop the R. But don't get too far ahead of yourself. Numéro 11, les étudiantes. Les étudiantes étudiaient pour la classe de français. Pour la classe de française. This is plural, so it would be the same as the il or elle, and that means you have the ENT, so third person plural. J'habite à Genève. J apostrophe, so anything that's an A or an H, you're going to have the J apostrophe. Numéro 13, nous parlons l'allemand et l'anglais. We speak German and English, so it's the new form, you have the ONS. Mamadou et son frère travaillaient à Paris. Mamadou et son frère. Mamadou and her son work in Paris. So again, this is third person. You have two people through a third person singular. Travailler. J'adore la cinéma européenne. J'adore. So make sure you guys have the J apostrophe. You have an A here. I love the European cinema. Moi aussi. Me too. Quelquefois, Marie et Hélène regardent des films. So you have two girls. It would be the L's. You're going to add the ENT. Regard means to watch. Regard des films, to watch films. Quelquefois. Quelquefois in French means sometimes. Quelquefois. If I wanted to say one time, un fois. Two times, deux fois. Trois fois. Quatre fois. Cinq fois. Sometimes, quelquefois. Les étudiants adorent les examens. The students love exams. Je pense que les étudiants ne adoreraient pas les exams. I'm going to make that negative. I know as a student, I did not like exams. That's why I give you guys multiple chances to do well. Remember, learning French, you're just always building on what you learned before, and it's repetition. The more you do something, where you focus your energy, that's where it flows, right? So what you focus on is what you become good at. On danse à la bibliothèque. We dance at the library. On ne danse pas à la bibliothèque actuellement. Numéro 19, François et moi aimons la pizza. So you have me and François. So this is going to be, anytime you add somebody to myself, that's going to be the we form. So that's the second person plural, first person plural, excuse me. Me and somebody else. Je jouais le baseball. I play baseball. So hopefully you guys have a better understanding of ER verbs. If you take this cheat sheet over to your quiz, you're going to do really, really well. There's some other little practice things too there, but if you have any questions, s'il vous plaît, send me an email. This is a great time to get a hold of me if you've fallen behind, because we only have a couple weeks left and only a couple more assignments. So now is the time to move into action if you are worried about not making it through this course. Okay, bonne journée.